Hello, future registered charity owners and founders. Today's video is all about having a registered charity that is approved by the CRA in Canada. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. Give this video a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and of course, keep on watching. My name is Pamela Metani. I'm a business lawyer and the founder here at Graphene Business Law. Graphene Business Law is a law firm working exclusively with business owners and entrepreneurs throughout the province of Ontario, Canada. However, when it comes to a matter like charity law, which I like to bucket in the world of business, it doesn't really fit well in any other bucket of law. It's not an employment matter. It's not a real estate matter. It's not a wills and estates matter. To me, a charity is just another build of a professional entity, whether those entities be the classic corporations, for-profit, non-for-profit, whether they be partnerships, limited liability or general, and so on and so forth. But again, I do like to group charity law under the business law side of things. That's where I feel it best fits, outside of just being its own kind of law. And all that to say, we are very well versed with charity law applications here at Graphene Business Law. And again, because it is a federal matter, charity applications like bankruptcy law, like criminal law, are federally regulated in Canada. So we can help you outside of Ontario as well, which I think is something that adds a lot of value to clients all around the country. This is the second video on charity law on this channel. For those of you that are new, we have reshuffled the playlist here on Graphene's YouTube channel. I've gone with a new direction now of having content for beginning business owners and entrepreneurs, and the more experienced business owners and entrepreneurs. Charity law, unless it's a true profound calling and passion that you have, I would say that owning a charity and registering a charity usually comes on the more experienced side of the spectrum once the business owners have a handle on their for-profit corporations or even non-for-profit, and they're looking to take that next step into charity law, whether for personal satisfaction, professional reasons, whatever it may be. But I do find it can be a bit of a more experienced step to take. That being said, if you are an aspiring new registered charity owner, new business person, of course, we're here to help you too. And the proof is in the pudding on that one, because if we're helping the really experienced business people, then certainly we can package and bundle all of that knowledge and experience into getting you the best head start possible. The first video on charity law we posted had to do with the public benefit test that must be met in order to open the gates of commencing a registered charity application with the CRA. I did receive a couple of emails that asked me to speak more about the 4 buckets of charities. So those buckets being charities that have to do, proposed charities having to do with religion, poverty, education, and the last overall bigger bucket being big picture things that are good for the community, beneficial to the community at large. Starting at the beginning, why are there only 4 buckets to begin with, and what does that mean for you? The reason we have these 4 buckets is actually quite an antiquated one, in my opinion. Not a critique on charity law, a reality of most law to begin with, right? It had to come from somewhere. A lot of laws are very old in nature. And from the years that a lot of laws stem from, it's not that we had the best idea of humankind back then when we were creating the laws to begin with. So a lot of them need massaging to be made appropriate for the 21st century. Charity law, the first mention of the concept of charity and charity law that we have that applies to Canadian jurisdictions is a statute called the Statute of Charitable Causes, I believe, from 1601. A long time ago. I mean, human life was so completely different back then that you would understand and appreciate that when it came to what was considered a charitable cause, we would arguably have been looking through more of a historical lens now, not a legal. What would the most pressing issues in society would have been at the time? People starving, religious freedom. I mean, people literally fled the old world to come to the new world, North America, to pursue religious freedom. And education is a funny one given the time, but you can imagine that the well-off might have been starting at that point to realize that the other people aren't getting one day of education And so maybe starting to give back in that way and just play with the concept of providing education to those lesser fortunate. But that's how we're looking at those three concepts of poverty, religious freedom, and education. They would have pertained to the bare bones of society at the time when this first piece of legislation was passed. The beneficial to community, because when clients first hear those three first buckets, it can be very, very discouraging if what you have does not exactly fit within one of those buckets. If your desired charity, if your desired way of helping does not fit within those buckets. That's where the fourth bucket comes in. The fourth bucket, or, think of the buckets as, when I say that, picture the tiniest plate for education and poverty and religion, because those are so clearly defined, such clearly understood terms. And then picture this like giant pot for the fourth bucket. They're not equal in size. The fourth bucket captures a lot of concepts that individually, to be honest with you, could have each been their own category. It's just that that's what I mentioned, and what I meant when I mentioned we've kept the antiquated foundations, and now we're just ever expanding this fourth bucket. But it doesn't mean that ideas outside of those first three categories are not relevant or won't be approved. What do you see in the fourth bucket? There's actually quite a list of topics that have already been approved by the CRA when it comes to the first bucket. A huge one, a huge category that a lot of my clients pursue registered charities under is healthcare, providing mental health supports, providing physical health supports to individuals of whatever communities they may be, whether it's certain diseases, whether it is organ transplant recipients and donors, whether it is mental health issues. Healthcare is a bucket that is captured by the beneficial to community. So is job creation. So are services helping newcomers to Canada, some services. So that fourth category, don't be discouraged if what you're looking for doesn't meet the strict test of the first three, religion, school, poverty. The fourth one is ever expanding. It has no limit to what can be approved under the fourth one. I want to be very careful to make very clear, it's not the case that every day we show up, just because we have an idea that doesn't pertain to the first three categories, whatever we throw in the fourth bucket is going to get approved. No. The rejection rate from the CRA when it comes to registered charities is actually quite high. And that's where working with a competent, qualified lawyer is going to be the best decision you make, because otherwise you're going to spend all this money trying to do it yourself. You still have to, before you get to the registered charity portal, incorporate yourself as a non-for-profit. You still have to have bylaws. You still have to have corporate structures. You're going to submit these papers. You're going to wait an average of 6 to 9 months to hear back from the CRA. Altogether, rejection, it's an excruciating process if you do it alone, and most likely to end in a denial or rejection. So I'm not saying, you understand that not everything going into the fourth bucket is approved, but so long as certain criteria are met, there's no inherent reason that what we throw into the fourth bucket should be rejected. And it's me that's going to meet those criteria for you. It's me that's doing the work, knowing the legal testings and so on and so forth. And part of this complication, by the way, so the four buckets are what? Of proposed charity, right? Charitable activities. Part of the issue, they say the fish rots from the head, right? And I really, sometimes as a lawyer, can be very frustrated to deal, again, with such antiquated statutes and legislations and legal systems, because the fish rotting from the head here, the head is such ancient law compared to today's times, that you'll appreciate we don't even have a definition of charity law within the world of law. There are examples of what has been seen to be charitable, which is the same concept of trying and testing and lawyers trying to convince the system and trying to advocate on your behalf. As with those ideas we could throw under the fourth bucket, but there's no clear definition of charity law. Otherwise, I might not even have a job in charity law. It'd be really easy for everyone to figure it out on their own. All that to say, for those emails that came my way to expand a little more on the four buckets, that's what they are. I'll also link my previous charity law video under this video in the description box, along with our contacts for Graphene Business Law. And to end this video on a super positive is the note that there is help for you. There are lawyers, myself included, that do this for a living, that know how to meet the test, that have professional relationships with staff at the CRA, being able to ask a question on your behalf, being able to clarify something on your behalf, and so on and so forth. One last distinction I'll throw out there for those of you just starting on the journey. So you'll remember I said that the fourth category of topics beneficial to the community is ever expanding, but so long as certain criteria are met. I want you to be very careful about the idea to not get too ahead of yourself. Not every, colloquially speaking, nice thing to do for people is going to be a charitable purpose. There is a big difference between nice and charitable. There's a huge difference, by the way, between non-for-profit and charitable. So again, that's where it's on us as lawyers here at Graphene Business Law to provide you with the guidance. It's on you to have the ideas and dream the dream, and we'll take care of the rest. Thank you so much for watching.